in fact, Vanuatu in particular was working with Polly, and in December again at The Hague, on the 2nd of December, Vanuatu is hosting a side event investigating and prosecuting ecocide. So this will explore the current and future opportunities for the International Criminal Court to address the current climate crisis, global heating and incessant environmental issues worldwide, including the potential of introducing a fifth atrocity crime, ecocide. And for those who feel okay to risk arrest, there is the added bonus of supplementing defence in court with a document showing as a trustee and earth protector that you are not a criminal but a conscientious protector, a term coined by Polly, acting from your conscience. Please realise this is a bonus for those privileged enough to be able to risk arrest, recognising that those from marginalised communities would risk more serious consequences and not wisely do this. We are breaking a new ground, working with individual cases that could set a precedent. Okay, just before we go on, actually, I want to say that over 100 years on from the women we played at the congresses in The Hague and Vienna, the women who supported the conscientious objectors refusing to fight in the First World War, I believe we have a mission as women working for peace 100 years later to connect all of these issues, opposing militarism, nuclear weapons and all policies that risk ecocide and our survival on this planet. In Zurich and also last week in Vienna, Wolf members in workshops decided to support this campaign for a law of ecocide. And as you can see, this is a call that has been taken up by the youth in their climate strikes and all generations in Extinction Rebellion, with the newly formed XR Peace having protested in October outside the Supreme Court calling for a law against ecocide and the treaty to prohibit nuclear weapons to be ratified. We will no doubt hear more about this from Rebecca later. So, the time for change is now. Please join us and become Earth protectors. So, it does three things when you sign up. It shows the government and the world that you support a solution to stop the harm at source. It funds the progress, as we've heard, of a truly protective law instead of letting corporations do all the lobbying. And it allows you to take activism into the courtroom should you wish to do so. So what else can we do? Some of the calls to action are here on this slide. You can, of course, become an Earth Protector. Please spread the word in your networks and communities. And there are also, if you go to the website, great Christmas cards you can send out to invite your friends to sign up as well. There is also now the opportunity to join an Earth Protector town scheme. Stroud was the first town that became an Earth Protector town. So I can just read for you their mission statement of Stroud Town Council. This was on the 2nd of September. In declaring Stroud an Earth Protector town, the Council undertakes to collaborate and cooperate with communities, local government bodies, businesses and other organisations to protect land, wildlife, air, soil and water. The Council considers the repercussions of its decisions and rigorous care is observed to avoid environmental harm in the exercise of its functions. So serious harm to the earth is preventable by shifting the norm and creating the visibility to support those states, to embolden them as we anticipate that they propose in the near future this amendment at the International Criminal Court. 2/3 of the 124 member states need to vote for it. There are, I believe, about 55 small island states. So this is not impossible by any means, and it is all about maintaining the visibility and helping finance them. As I said, there is no veto at the International Criminal Court. So the workshop on peace, education and climate justice that was held at the Congress in Zurich in May concluded that peace education needs to connect the importance of climate and environmental justice with opposing militarism, and as I said, support this international law against ecocide as the fifth crime against peace by recruiting conscientious protectors of the earth. The legacy of Polly Higgins offers a solution that inspires unity and a shared vision of how the earth could be protected for future generations, so that anti-war, human rights and environmental activists can find common cause with a positive shared vision for the future. I believe it is by sharing a vision of the kind of world we want to co-create that we can best inspire unity and transcend differences, working for the needs of all to be met. Building a movement to change the law, showing solidarity with those already severely affected by ecocide and the climate crisis is a good example of how this can be done. The Earth Protectors Trust Fund document that you signed states, "Becoming a trustee of this document is to become an earth protector and trustee of Earth. It is a declaration of love and acknowledgement that the Earth, the ecosystems of Earth and inhabitants of Earth, whether human or otherwise, have the right to peaceful enjoyment. It is a declaration of belief that this peaceful enjoyment is both a moral and a legal right, and that any human act or omission which severely diminishes such peaceful enjoyment is a crime. Becoming a trustee of Earth is to become a protector of a law which is in alignment with a universally recognised moral code of respect, peace and duty of care for all life. It is a direct expression of intent to create peace between all beings." Polly's last wish was to see 1 million Earth protectors understanding the game-changing implications for all time and all beings of us now taking action to protect the Earth by establishing this law against ecocide at the International Criminal Court, accepting as a sacred trust the obligation to put people and planet before profit. As quoted by Polly, Martin Luther King taught that when our laws align with true equality and justice, then we can have peace. And I'd like to give the final words to Polly. This law is an idea whose time has come. We need to bring it to the fore all over again, singing a new song so well that others will want to join us, so that this idea is never lost again. Thank you for your attention. There are plenty of flyers out in the foyer.
Thank you very much, Rose. Now we'd like to take some questions from the floor.
I'm just wondering what your plans are. Assuming this law is in place, how do we get it implemented? Because we've got a lot of really good laws around the world, and that's not enough. It has to be then implemented. What are your structures planned to ensure that this is implemented at all levels of government?
Okay, thank you for that very optimistic question, because I feel quite confident that if it is in place, it will already have the writing on the wall for anybody investing. So I would like to feel that there would be nobody in the dock, because actually the law would be preventing such investment going ahead. But I would urge you to put the question to the lawyers themselves. I'm not on the legal team personally to answer the question, but I'm sure they would be glad to. And one of the lawyers involved in the case is the one that indicted Pinochet. So there's some very senior lawyers involved in putting it into action. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It was such an interesting talk, and it sounds like an amazing law. Hopefully, if it gets passed. My question was just around, I think there's been quite a lot in the media recently about the fact that any kind of environmental action of this kind is likely to impact developing economies more than developed economies, because developing economies are obviously still going through their industrial revolutions. What are your thoughts on that? Just wanted to ask.
Thank you for the question. It is very much part of my own personal inquiry, as a lot of us wake up to the fact of the complete inequality, even within and especially when we are attempting to do the right thing as far as climate justice is concerned. So you've asked me for my thoughts, and I share your inquiry is really all I can say, because there are many more experts in the room, I think, probably, who could answer that.
Thanks for your presentation. It was really, really interesting and fascinating. I guess I've got a question around individual champions on issues like ecocide and more broadly on, I guess, ecofeminism. I guess one of my maybe fears for this movement, which has a lot of global attention on it at the moment because there's a lot of media and public attention on climate change issues, is that there's lots of responsibility placed on women and girls as individuals to sort of champion and push through these issues and battle sort of, I mean, they become quite iconic. So like Polly, who you mentioned, or Greta Thunberg, but how can we, I guess, as activists, form a more collectivist stance, not just to kind of broaden the different voices who get prominence, but also to support some of the leading voices on calling for things like a crime of ecocide.
Thank you. Yeah, that is something else of my concern. I was thinking more in terms of Greta than I had of Polly, because of the personal relationship I have with Polly. I obviously want to give a great tribute to her. And yet I do realise that the inequality within the media realises that the young white girl gets picked up on, which can seem extremely unfair to people who've been fighting this and saying similar things for years. Again, it's only my personal thoughts that I can share on that. I'm very grateful for the question, and I want there to be a very open discussion about that. The media is the media, and yeah, I think we can all do a lot in terms of making sure that the stories that we share are those that fairly cover the crises going on everywhere and the activities of everyone.
Hi, thank you. Could you maybe talk a little bit about what's been happening in South America, especially with the laws and the indigenous rights? You mentioned Ecuador and Paraguay, I think, and a couple others. Thanks.
Thank you, and I have to be very honest, I wish I could. Yeah, they need to be much better known about, and I'm doing my own process of inquiry. I know that Polly talked a lot about them. She travelled widely and would have been able to answer your question a lot better than I can. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. Very interesting. This may not be something you can do, but I see that the opponents of a law like this are obviously very powerful, and they're going to say things like, well, we need wood to build houses, so clearly we chop down some trees, and where does one draw the line between an appropriate use of a resource like wood to build a house and the eco side? And in our modern world, we need to do some mining. I mean, what about lithium for batteries for electric cars? Or I'm sure there's many other examples. And so, how these very powerful forces are going to want to say, are going to want to normalize everything, every activity, whether it's mining or logging or whatever, and just say, well, we're just doing normal things for the benefit of people, and therefore what we are doing isn't ecocide, that must be what someone else is doing. And how can we respond to those clever kinds of narratives?
Another excellent question from an expert who probably knows better than I. But thank you. Yeah, the information I'm still processing from your talk. Yes, clearly there are many levels of challenge here, and I would want to ask the lawyers that. Again, I'm not a lawyer personally, and I wouldn't know, but I would be very cheered to know that we had succeeded to keep this as much in the public arena as possible, so that those vested interests cannot get away with disappearing the whole idea, so that we can get close to having it as law, to be having that debate and getting down to the nitty-gritty of exactly what you're talking about. That would be great. Thank you.
Can I just make a comment?
Okay, I see many other hands, but I'm really sorry that we have to move on. So again, Ross will be around later, so please have discussion, continue discussion later.